What up, dudes? It's Kaz, and welcome to the Warframe video. So today we're going over the Panthera Prime, which I'd say is probably the second most exciting part of the Inaros Prime Access that came out last week. So let's go over this thing really quick. Make sure you check out that Twitch channel if you haven't already. Like I say, every video pretty much. So what we got here is obviously the Prime version of the Panthera Saw Blade Launcher. So we've got a primary fire where it fires off saw blades that like fly forward and can ricochet off walls, which has AoE when it ricochets apparently. And it's also a secondary fire where it's pretty much like the Ripper from Dead Space, if you remember what that is, where it's going to shoot a saw blade in front of you, and you can move it around. And it doesn't have that great of range. It's pretty much melee range. So mods like Sinister Reach will actually increase the range of that secondary fire, but then again, Sinister Reach is not an Exilus mod, so it's kind of annoying that you can't actually put an Exilus mod on here to increase the range. So I hope they change that someday. So as we are looking at those stats, got 18% crit chance at base, 2x multiplier, so that's a relatively low crit chance for this thing, in my opinion. We've got 80 round magazine. This thing actually uses 2 bullets per shot with the primary fire. 3.67 fire rate, no innate multi-shot, 2.4 reload time, 30% stash chance, and very highly slash weighted. Pretty much 70% of it is slash weighting on the primary shot, so pretty good for slash procs. If this thing had a higher crit chance, you could actually be getting crit slash procs and 100 munitions procs at the same time really reliably. So I do think this thing has a crit chance problem personally, which is why I'm not a huge fan of it. And we've also got this Radial Attack where it will bounce off walls. Got 25% fall off, like 1.6. Like I said, the ricochet is really not noticeable, at least for me it wasn't. But on the secondary fire has better crit stats. So it's got 26% crit chance instead of 18. And it's also got a slower fire rate, but even more stash chance as well. And it's entirely slash. So pretty good stuff on the secondary fire. I just wish it had a little bit more range. That low fire rate definitely is noticeable there. And let's just quickly get into it. So I'm going to show the build I'm currently using. It gets the job done. Not entirely my favorite weapon. And here it is. So I've got 2 dual stat mods to make it so our viral is not a lot higher than the slash. So sometimes it will be proccing slash like pretty consistently. But if you didn't know this, the 4 times impact puncture and slash multiplier that used to be in the game for status procs is no longer present. So if you have lower viral damage, it'll actually make it so you're more likely to proc slash just because the math works out that way. But as you see, with Point Strike, only 45% crit chance, and that is not very high at all. So at least the secondary fire has 65% crit chance with Point Strike. But if you get a Riven mod for this thing, I'd say go for crit chance. I got crit damage on mine, not very good. I actually had crit chance and damage instead of crit damage and damage, and I actually got rid of it, which I definitely highly regret. But yeah, so if you get Arcane Avenger, you'll be at like 90% crit chance, get reliable 100 munitions headshots, you'll get crazy crit slash procs. So that's that. You could technically run some fire rate on here. You can even run that range mod I was telling you about for the secondary fire, Sinister Reach. Going to give you 12 more meters on the secondary fire. I believe it's like 8 meters is what the range is. But you're running viral 100 munitions, pretty standard for primaries. On the secondary fire, 83% stash chance. It will get some good slash procs. So let's show it off here. Like I mentioned, I am not a huge fan of this weapon. It does good damage, don't get me wrong, but I don't really see like much, like I don't really see myself using this thing very much. So here's the primary fire on a gunner. So we got see what I mean? Like we got very unlucky with 100 munitions procs there. Those were just normal slash procs that it was taking. Now there's the 100 munitions proc right there, that big juicy slash proc, 900. And the normal slash proc is doing like 279. So it does technically stack on top of each other. But yeah, if this thing had like a lot higher crit chance, you'd be seeing that more consistently. 5400 on that bombard. So I mean, it's good. Let's do the secondary fire on this guy. As you can see, the secondary fire definitely takes ammo a lot slower. And then there's a 17,000, I think that was, on that bombard. So the secondary fire does good damage, especially when you're going for headshots like this. There's a Vigilante bonus giving us an orange crit. We had no business getting it with this low crit chance, 34,000 slash proc. And obviously body shot slash procs will be much lower. But can still kill these level 175s. So, yeah. As far as if I'd recommend this thing to you guys, I'd say if you think it looks cool and like sounds cool, I'd say go for it. That guy got destroyed because he was taking the impact damage, and we were also hitting him with the ricochet. So if you can push this guy into the wall over here. I don't think you can do that in this game, actually. But pretty much the Ricochet does deal damage as well, which you might like. It bounces back and also does damage again, so... pretty decent stuff. Fire rate's going to make it where you're firing faster, obviously. Prime Shred does work on the secondary fire as well. Will punch through enemies. So, yeah, that's pretty much the Panthera Prime. You could definitely... you don't need to run a viral build. I'd say viral is the way to go on primaries most of the time. Unless you're doing, like, just upfront explosion damage with something like the Stalta or something like that. So, yeah, that's the build. Quickly can show it with Sinister Reach. It's going to be less damage for sure. So, now you can see that the Saw Blade is going, like... how far is it reaching? I can't even see where it is. Let's see how far we can hit him from. I think it should be around 20 meters with Sinister Reach. Alright. 12 meters. Hitting from 12 meters. It's around 20 where it stops hitting. So you might like that. It definitely makes it further than melee range, which is the main problem I had with it before. But then again, you can't put that in the Exilus slot. As far as Exilus mod for this thing, I'd say go with Vigilante Supplies for the increased crits. You could technically go for Lethal Momentum for faster Saw Blade projectile flight speed, but that's not going to really increase your damage, so... yeah, that's another problem, too, is like, oh, I could just do that, or I could just hit them with a melee weapon and just, like, insta-kill them, so... yeah, melees and primaries are not very properly balanced between each other, but it's an entire topic for another video. That's just how it is, I guess. So yeah, let's get into some gameplay here. Actually, I can show the Riven really quickly. I have a crit damage and damage Riven. We can also put on Arcane Avenger on our build, or not our build, on our frame, just to see more consistent crits, and we'll let the enemy shoot us. So we're putting on a little bit more base damage just because that's how I formed. And yeah, I'll put on Arcane Avenger on Nova, and it will be around 90% crit chance with Avenger procced. All right. Let's give that a shot. Let's see how consistent those slash procs are. Invincibility, unpause AI, and then we'll top into a mission gameplay. Alright, so Avenger is procced. Now you see right there, like I pretty much didn't even have to like think about it. She was going to get the Hunter Munition slash procs easily there. Very, very... they see crit chance consistency problem with this weapon. 45% at base just doesn't feel great. But when we get to 90 with Avenger proc, it feels so much better. So, if you are rolling a Riven for this thing, definitely go for crit chance. I'd say a God roll would be crit chance, damage, multi-shot. I guess you could go for crit chance, crit damage. That's always pretty nice. And then, like, minus zoom is great. Definitely not minus status duration, because this thing is very slash proc reliant, and minus status duration on slash proc sounds like a big oof. So, as you see, much, much better. And my Riven is pretty mediocre, to be honest. So, unfortunately, I think this thing does rely on Rivens pretty heavily. And as I mentioned in my previous video on the Karst Prime, the Rivens are not bugged for this, guys. Going forward, whenever there's a Prime weapon release, as you can see right there, 1 dot on the display, that's a display error. But the Riven stats are neutral disposition, so 3 dots. Going forward, any new weapon, so for example, the Stropha or the Stalta, that will be released with 1 dot and very low stat Rivens. Any Prime weapon, so for example, Panthera Prime, Karst Prime, Guandao Prime, if we get that in the future, Zocti Prime, if we get that in the future, they will have neutral disposition, which is 3 dots. I don't know why they decided to go down that route. Pretty much, probably, I'm guessing just to sell more plat, because Prime Access, people that buy Prime Access for this stuff have a bunch of plat just sitting around, because they get like 3,000 plat with the Prime Access bundle. And then they can like buy an expensive overpriced Riven. So that's just speculation on my part. It might not actually be that reason. They might have some other hidden technology that I'm not aware of. Also running a viral heat build in this mission against these infested. So as you can see, like, we're not just fighting heavy gunners. We don't need to rely on Hunter Munition slash procs all the time. So in normal missions, this thing is pretty nice. I actually really like the sound effects and the feel of the projectiles on it. So yeah, I wouldn't say like it's bad. It's just like it's not really like my mainstay weapon, especially with that low crit chance. If I get a crit chance Riven, it'll probably change and be a weapon I do enjoy a lot more. But then again, I'm not wasting any more Kuva on this thing. I'm not wasting any more plat on this thing. Like maybe I could buy a good one, but I've been really enjoying the Stalta recently, and that thing's not really slash proc reliant at all, and it has its own problems, but you know, I'd rather, if I'm going to use a Saw Blade launcher, I'd probably just use the Miter. The Miter is going to pop those nullifier bubbles with the Neutralize Injustice augment. Oh, by the way, this thing does have an augment mod. I'm trying to remember what it does. Oh, it disarms. It's not very good. I think it makes a secondary fire disarm enemies. Pretty much irrelevant. Disarming enemies is pretty much like, it's not very important nowadays. I guess you could use Loki just to like reminisce about back in the day when raiding disarm Loki was like one of the best things in the game. And it's still really strong, don't get me wrong. But you definitely don't want to run a mod slot on your Panthera Prime for disarming enemies using the alt fire. So, yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for the general gist of this video. You don't need to run, like I said, you don't need to run Viral. You could run Corrosive, and the Corrosive build's fine. I actually have Viral Heat on in this mission right here. But then again, they're infested, so pretty much anything's going to kill them. So, yeah, I'd say if I was to rate this out of 10, I'd give it like a 7 or an 8. It's a very good weapon, but that crit chance does hold it back. If you got a good Riven, like, congratulations. I definitely say crit chance all the way. And of course, RNG is RNG, as you saw right there. I shot 2 shots. Those guys got crit on every shot. So if you just get super lucky and get triple 100 missions slash procs on the heads, sure, it's in a one-shot level 175. And you can one-shot level 175s with this gun. But the consistency is a problem, and I don't really recommend Argon Scope in this mission right here. Argon Scope would be doing absolutely nothing. I'm not getting headshots on these guys very often, the infested. So you know, it's up to you if you want to run Argon Scope. But I never really run those mods you need to jump through hoops for. It's usually just like all the way. I'm gonna be running consistent mods like Vigilante Armaments, like Vital Sense. Like you should never not run Vital Sense on a crit primary, of course, but that's just an example. So I'll talk to you guys next time. Hopefully this video was helpful to you. I don't know when the Inaros Primal video will come out. I still haven't gotten Inaros Prime yet, and I'm really not in any rush. They decided not to rework Inaros Prime's abilities when they released, rework Inaros abilities when they released Inaros Prime. So I'm kind of like, eh. You just, yeah. So we'll see when it comes out. There's more videos, though. There will be an Archititron video coming out next couple of days. There will be possibly a Stulta Riven video and maybe a Velox Riven video as well. So keep an eye on those ones. Oh, by the way, for frames that synergize with this, Ash's Pasta does give you increased slash proc damage and all that. So maybe try it on Ash. Talk to you guys next time. Peace.